This episode of Buy Black Podcast is brought to you by Haptic Consulting. Haptic Consulting specializes in maximizing the value your organization gets from its training budget by focusing on business needs, eliminating unnecessary training development, and helping you build a culture of engagement from the executive level down. Visit www.hapticconsulting.com to learn how I can help you develop better leaders, happier employees, and a more profitable company culture. Or you can email me at gerald@hapticconsulting.com. That's GERALD@hapticconsulting.com. Now let's get into the show.
Imagine if we all adapted this type of principle where whether it's living together, opening a business together, we really focus on group economics. You know, my goal is to create our own little utopia the same way that they have. You know, everybody talks about changing the game or reform and all these kind of things. It's not happening. I mean, let's just be real. It's not happening. I'm not interested in changing the game that wasn't designed for us in the first place. What I'm interested in is creating our own game where we're the players and we call the shots.
Buy Black Podcast, episode 39, using the Debt Snowball and group economics to build generational wealth. Welcome to Buy Black, the only podcast dedicated to helping you find, connect with, and support Black-owned businesses. We're on a mission to bring consumers and business owners together to ignite the global Black economy. I'm your host, Gerald Jones, and if you're a Black business owner or a socially conscious consumer, you've joined the right community. Ready? Let's get to work. Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another great episode of Buy Black, Build the New Black Wall Street. It is your Buy Black podcast. And folks, this is episode 39, and we have a great interview coming to you today. Before I start talking about this one, I want to quickly shout out our latest rating. We have a new 5-star rating over on the Android app and in the Google Play Store. Folks, if you are listening, no matter where you happen to be listening right now, you may have heard this on a previous show. I want to start reminding you every week. If you haven't subscribed to the show through iTunes or Apple Podcasts, please go and subscribe to the show there. That's simply for the fact that the number of subscriptions that they see in Apple is what affects our ranking and makes the show more visible in that platform. However, I would much prefer that you actually listen through the standalone app. So if you have an Apple, iPhone, iPad, whatever you happen to listen on, you can go to the App Store and you can look for Buy Black, Black Wall Street, and you will find the app for this show. Download that to your phone. I would absolutely love for you to listen directly through the standalone app. You get the not only do you get all the shows there, but you also get bonus material. There is a contact tab where you can email me, call me, or text me directly from the app. So you just got a lot more access to the show and to me, and the ability to either ask questions or recommend new businesses for me to interview on the show. So definitely go and download the app. That works the same way over on Android. We have a standalone app in the Google Play Store. Just search for Buy Black, Black Wall Street. You can find that there. I highly encourage you, no matter what platform you happen to be listening on now, go and download the standalone app. It really helps me out. All right, so enough of that stuff. I want to tell you guys about the episode you have coming up today. This show obviously is called Buy Black, Build the New Black Wall Street, and it has been focused almost entirely around supporting and promoting Black-owned businesses. However, when we think about Black Wall Street, and specifically the Black Wall Street that is most well known, Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, that was destroyed in the early 1920s, it wasn't just about business ownership. It was an entire community. It was an entire area of town where not only were the businesses owned by Black people, but you had your hospitals, you had your schools, you had Black people who owned homes, and you had an entire community that was there taking care of each other, taking care of itself, and who pretty much ran that part of town and functioned pretty much autonomously. To get that, we've got to have more than just ownership of businesses. So today's guest, Latrice Coleman, I'm going to talk to you when we kind of get into the interview about how we met. So I won't spend a whole bunch of time up front on that. But I just want to let you know, she is going to be coming at this from a completely different angle than what you have heard on this show before. It's all about using the money you already have coming in to build generational wealth and a community, a village around your family that is going to also help us to begin to thrive. And so I was so excited when I first heard Latrice talk about this that I reached out to her, asked if she would come on the show, and she was gracious enough to join us. And so because of that, I am not going to waste any more of your time or hers running my mouth. We're going to get straight into her interview because I guarantee you, folks, you are going to want to hear every word, and you better have a pen or a pencil with you right now because I tell you, if you're driving and you listen to this, you're going to want to stop on the side of the road and start writing. So listen to it when you got time. Listen to it when you got a pen and paper. Maybe listen to it once and come back to it again because this is powerful stuff. All right, I'm done. Let's get into the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to Buy Black, your only podcast dedicated to helping you find and connect with Black-owned businesses. And today, I am going to bring you the most fantastic interview we have had on the show yet. How do I know this? Because the devil has been jumping in all week long, trying to keep me and this woman apart from each other, but he could not win. Today, I'm going to be interviewing Miss Latrice Coleman about a different angle on building generational wealth that I think is going to resonate with everybody out here in the community. And so, Latrice, thank you for connecting with me. We'll talk a little bit about how we connected, but I just want to thank you for joining me on the show right now.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, so for everybody out there, there is a Facebook group that someone, actually a listener, added me to not too long ago. It's called Wakoinda. And so I'm in this group, and one day I just happened to see this Facebook Live video pop up on my feed. And so I click on the video, I start watching, and it's Latrice talking through this process that she and her family have used to completely take control of their financial situation in a very short period of time. And it's extremely unorthodox, which is what makes it great and something that you guys need to hear so you can try to figure out whether or not it will be right for you. So Latrice, I don't want to spend too much time talking because you're the woman with the story and this wonderful passion behind what it is that you're doing. So why don't I just do that? I'm going to turn it over to you and just talk to us first about kind of your background and kind of what got you to the point of where you are now.
Okay, yeah, sure. So, hey everybody. Like you said, my name is Latrice Coleman. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. So I am a 37-year-old, Air Force disabled veteran. I am a mother of 5. I am a college student. I am the spouse of an active duty, NCO in the Army. And, I come from a very large family. I have 5 siblings and, I'm no different than anybody else. I grew up in the inner city of San Diego, California, and I went off into the military when I was 17, and I've been medically retired from the military since 2007. So pretty much, I'm a full-time student. My husband is overseas, so I'm also a full-time mom, and I'm just, I'm not a I don't come from a well-to-do family or anything like that. I'm just your everyday person.
Absolutely. So, speaking on that, over the course of the last, I think you told me about 6 months, you and your family have taken on this new way of both living and dealing with your finances that is changing your life. So, talk to us about that. The thing that really caught me when I looked at the title of your video was you were talking about how to use community economics. And we talk about community economics all the time in the Black community, but a lot of times we're talking about, buying from Black-owned businesses or starting Black-owned businesses or anything like that. But you've taken a completely different way of looking at it from the standpoint of going back to that village that we used to have and rebuilding that in order to build wealth. So yeah, talk us through kind of that last, 6 months to a year of what you guys have been doing, because it is really inspiring.
Okay, sure. So absolutely. My, something that has always been near and dear to my heart, and I think it really had a lot to do with, just the fact that I come from a single parent home, my mom trying to, do it all. And a lot of times I saw her really doing it alone, even though she came from a large family, with 8 siblings and, another mom trying to do, my grandmother trying to do it all. And I really just sat back and I'm like, yes, this is the norm, for our family, but that doesn't make it, what should be acceptable. So, my brother and I, we have always been really close and, we're really, family oriented, he and I, more so than our other siblings. But, we've always wanted to create this village amongst ourselves to where, not only do we empower each other, but, the saying, I'm my brother's keeper. That's something that I always say. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm really, really big on family. So one day he and I were just on the phone and, my husband was getting ready to get stationed overseas. We were living in Georgia. And, my brother and I are just talking about generational wealth and the things that we want for our children, because he's a new father now. And, how we can break this cycle of struggle. And I was venting to him and I was telling him, like, look, it's so hard for me to try to find houses online. This is the price that I'm looking at, and he started venting. He's like, yeah, I think he said that's the way California is. I'm paying $2,300 for an apartment out here. And I said, this is insane. I was like, between the two of us, we'll both be spending about $6,000-7,000 in just home expenses. So he said, you know what? He said, why don't we just live together? That would save us so much money. So we started looking for houses and stuff like that. And we sat down and we did the math. And, so my brother, he has a girlfriend and they have a son. They are both active duty military. And then, I'm retired and then my husband's active duty military. So that's 4 sources of income. So we really sat down and we did the math. We found a house. Now this house that we're living in is large. It's 8 bedrooms, 5 bath. And, still the amount that we were each spending or would have each been spending was less than it was to, rent this 8 bedroom house. So we decided, okay, we're going to go that route. And, after we did the math, okay, so I'll break it down to make it plain for everybody. So my brother was spending about $2,400, and that was just in rent. That wasn't any utilities, any cable or anything like that. So by the time you add all that stuff up, he was probably spending closer to $3,000. Okay, well, I have a large family. I have 5 kids, so I was getting ready to be spending closer to $4,000. So if you add all that up, that's $7,000 spent on just living expenses. I'm on a fixed income. I get paid, once a month. So there is no more money. I'm disabled. I can't work. And then, my husband, he has his income or whatever. So we decided just to pull everything together and see where we went from there. So what we noticed was with our 4 incomes combined and our living expenses here come up to about $3,500. Okay, so just off of that alone, that creates $3,500 worth of extra income. Nobody's going out and getting another job to create this $3,500. Nobody is working overtime to create this $3,500. We created another source of income just by simply living together. So with that, what that did was it created kind of like a domino effect of income, because now we're all able to save more money. everybody who lives in this home, and I'm talking about an individual, not a couple, everybody who lives in this home is able to save somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 a month just by us living together. So, once we identified how much money came from us living together, it's like, okay, so obviously you're free to do what you want to do with the extra money you have. I chose, my brother chose, my husband chose, we all decided that the best thing to do was not to spend that money, but to save. You know, credit is a huge focus of ours at this point. So we decided to just use that extra money, act like it doesn't exist, use that extra money to pay off any and all debt that we had existing. So, when we moved here, you know, it was a government move. So now, you know, we have to wait for the government to pay us back. So, you know, we're living off of our credit cards, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul, really just trying to, make ends meet until, you know, we can get on our feet. So, and we all know, that it's easy to swipe that card and then you look and you're like, whoa, look at my credit card balances, like they're extremely high. So what happened is during this move, and I'm putting all this stuff on I'm maxing out my credit cards. What happened is my credit took a significant hit. So I look at my credit score. Now this was about 6 months ago. I look at my credit score and I'm like, whoa, my credit score went from the mid sixes to the the high 400s. I was sitting at a 468. And I'm like, okay, oh my God, what's happening here? Like, we moved here to save money, but now, you know, I have a 468 credit score. I have to fix this. So immediately, like again, I can't work. My husband can't work any more hours. He's on a salary. They're on a salary as well. So how can I create more money? And so what I started doing was I said, okay, I have all this debt and I can sit here and I can pay everybody $100 here, $100 there. I know that's not going to work. So I started to apply Dave Ramsey's snowball effect to my bills. And that's what really, where I really started to see things change really rapidly.
So I want to pause real quick and talk about that debt snowball. So for anybody who's out there who has not ever heard of Dave Ramsey or the debt snowball or any of this kind of stuff, he's one of these financial advisor guys who basically he's not all about going out and buying all these different products in order to try to invest your way to wealth. His thing is get debt free, and now all the money that you would have been sending to all these credit card companies, now you can invest that money into some safe places where you know it's going to grow over a period of time. You're going to pay off your house. You're going to do all these things. And, Latrice, let me know, do you want to talk about the debt snowball, or do you mind if I jump in and kind of break it down real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so the whole thing with this debt snowball is, and I'm going to quickly go through this. The first thing you do is just get a little emergency fund just in case things go wrong, whatever makes you comfortable. $1,000, $2,000, or a little bit more depending on where you live. But once you got that money off to the side, the very next thing you do is you take a look at all the debts that you have. And I mean, that's credit cards, that's car, that's whatever other things, student loans, medical bills, whatever other things that you owe. And you lay them out by the smallest amount that you owe to the largest amount that you owe. And some people say you also look at interest rates and things like that. His thing is just smallest to largest, regardless of interest rate. And here's why. The whole thing with the snowball effect is that you pay the minimum balance on everything except the smallest debt. And so if I have 8 bills and I have a minimum balance of, let's just call it even, right? 8 bills with a minimum balance of $50 a bill, then you pay $50 a month on 7 of them. And then all the rest of that you have available, you put it all on that smallest one, the 8th one. And you may be in a situation where that smallest one, you can pay that off immediately. And now you're down to 7 bills. So then the next month, you pay $50 on 6 of them. and then you put all the money that you were putting towards that first bill, plus the money you were going to put towards that second bill, all towards that one. And you pay that one that way until it's paid off. And then you do that with the third one and the fourth one and the fifth one. And at every rotation of this, you have one less bill to pay, which means you have more money to roll into paying that next biggest debt, which is what it means to have a snowball. Because by the time that you get to that seventh highest bill, you've got all the extra money that you would have been paying to these other bills to throw at that one. And even a large bill, you'd probably be able to knock that out in a couple of months. And once you paid off all your debts, then he goes into a whole other process of building a big emergency fund and, putting money aside for kids' college and paying off the house and preparing for retirement and all that kind of stuff. But the first thing we all got to do is get out of debt. And so that's what Latrice is talking about with that debt snowball. So after that quick little breakdown, so talk to me about that. That the debt snowball is something that in theory, for a lot of people, it sounds great, but a lot of us don't know anybody who it's worked for. And so it's really hard for us to grasp how life-changing it is to go through that. But you've been doing it. So talk to us about how applying the debt snowball to your finances has changed you guys' life over the last 6 months.
Sure. So I'll start off by saying that, in my opinion, whenever you're ready to make a drastic change, like, hey, look, I'm ready to take my credit serious. I'm ready to take my finances serious. Actually doing it is the easy part. The hard part about this is changing the way you look at money mentally. Okay. I stopped looking at money from a standpoint of, the burden that's associated with it just from, day-to-day living or, living paycheck to paycheck and, that sort of thing. And I started looking at it as a tool. I started looking at the power, that comes from financial freedom. So I had to change the way I think. And until you can, cause I've tried this before, but I didn't change my mentality. So it didn't work, because the first time something went wrong or the first time something went on sale or, a car broke down or whatever, I lost all the goals that I had, in front of me because I hey, look, this is on sale or whatever. I had to change the way I thought and I had to become a lot more disciplined. This is easy once you change your mind frame. Once you get that discipline and once you put these goals in front of you and you trust the process. I try to tell people that all the time. It works if you stick to it. It works if you keep your goals in mind and the forefront of everything you do. Every time you swipe your card, every time you walk into the store, everything you do in life, when you trust the process and you see your goals in front of you and you keep that in the forefront, everything else is easy. So once I mentally, worked on myself in that aspect, like, look, Latrice, you have to change your spending habits. You have to do these sort of things. Cause let's be real, I'm the type of person where, I can be extremely frugal. If I'm broke, I can make $50 last 2 weeks. But then on the other hand, I can also walk into Walmart for, toiletries and household items and walk out with $500 worth of stuff that I didn't need too.
Man, that place is the devil.
I'm telling you, you go in there and they have these little, end caps with all these rollbacks and everything. And before you know it, you went in there for dishwashing liquid and laundry detergent and you come out with a basket full of stuff. And then you leave there and you're like, okay, like I have $400 in my account and now you check your balance the next day and it's like, I could have swore I just got paid, right? So I had to change all those things. So one thing that I'm really big on is manifesting things into your life. So I truly believe that when you put it in the atmosphere and you claim it, you speak on it, it's a lot easier for you to encourage yourself throughout the process when times get hard. So, and I'm also an extremely visual person. everybody has a different way of managing their bills and their money and things like that. Some people like to use Excel spreadsheets, or different apps. Other people just, swipe and wait to see how it's going to turn out. I'm a person that I feel like when I write it and I'm seeing it and, and I don't, I do it old school. I break out a calculator and, a pen, and I have a book. I have a little red book I bought from Walmart, for about $1. And I wrote some things on the front of it. And I think this is really important because what I was doing at that moment when I was writing these things on the front of the book was I was manifesting and speaking positivity into my finances. Okay. I have a phrase where I say that I'm broke on purpose, and I literally had to think that way. I'm not broke because I'm spending money. I'm not broke. I may not be broke according to somebody else's standards. They may look at me and say, okay, you got money, whatever. But I had to start looking at it like this money doesn't exist. So, but there was a purpose to it. The purpose is financial freedom. So that's where the phrase I come from, what broke on purpose means. So on the front of this book, and I literally have it in my hand right now, it says 2018 financials. And then I wrote a couple little, things that I wanted to keep in mind every single time I opened this book, that this is the reason why I'm doing this. So on one side, it says generational wealth. On the other side, it says financial focus. At the bottom, it says freedom. And then on the left-hand side, it says stick to the script. And what I mean by stick to the script is whatever plan you come up with it, by any means necessary, stick to it. Okay? So in this book, the first thing I did, and this goes back to the snowball effect, is I wrote down every single bill I had, even some things that weren't necessarily due on a month-to-month basis. Whatever debt I had associated with my name or my husband's name, everything got written in this book on the very first page. Because when I wanted to open it up, I wanted to be able to capture what our debt looked like, when I first started this process. Mm-hmm. So I listed everything. I had a total at the bottom. Okay. What I also did is I wrote my credit score on the left side of this, of the book at the beginning. So at the beginning, now mind you, this was 6 months ago, not even quite 6 months yet. So the first month was, we moved here in, the end of November. So November, it said something like November 20th, 2017. Credit score 468. So now I'm looking, because as I go through this, it's easier to trust the process when you see that it's working. And to me, that was motivation in itself, because as the months go by, I'm looking at the effect of it. So, okay, everything's written down on the right-hand side. Children's Place card, $400, Victoria's Secret, $375, all these bills, Navy Federal Credit Union credit card, $5,000. All these things are written on the right-hand side. So what I did was I did a combination of Dave Ramsey's, approach, which is the smallest bill to the largest. But what I also did is I took into consideration interest rates. Okay. So, if you have a credit card and it has a 0% APR on it or 0% interest rate or no payments due for 6 months or whatever, then those aren't really something that I was focused on because they don't have an interest rate. I can wait on those. I need to start looking at the things that, have the highest interest rates, and I had some credit cards with an insane, interest rate, like 29%. So although that wasn't the smallest balance, if the interest rate was higher than the smallest balance, then I needed to take that into consideration as well, because although I may be giving them $100, if $30 of that is going to interest, then, that's not doing me, and on a high balance, that's not doing me any good either. So what I did was, okay, so now we have this extra money from us living together. So what that did is that created for us, for my husband and I financially, that created $3,000 a month that now I could either spend, I could, pay off debt, I could do whatever. I chose to pay off the debt. So I have $3,000 a month that is created by me and my brother living together that now didn't exist. So I used to be that person that would pay $100 on everything and look at my balances the next month and I'm depressed because I know I shelled out at least $1,000 on bills, but my balances, look almost exactly the same as they did the month before. And I wasn't getting anywhere fast. So now I have $3,000 to throw at these bills. So, I just started paying them off one by one. Every month, I would focus on a different one. So, like I'll give you an example of the one I used already, Children's Place. The balance on that was like $400. So I took that $3,000. Let me pay off Children's Place. Let me pay off my Lowe's card. I only owe $200 on that. So the first month I paid off all the small bills. I got all those out the way in 1 month. And then from there, I worked my way up to the bigger ones, the ones with the higher interest rate. Now, every month that I'm doing this, I'm marking them off. I'm marking them off. Okay, this bill's paid. This bill's paid. This is my new balance. And I'm coming up with a strategy a month in advance, sometimes 2 months in advance. So I have a game plan. And at no given point in time, I look at my bank account and say, okay, well, I have $1,500 in here. I can go to the mall. Absolutely not. If I have $1,500, I'm going to look and see what I can do next month. Or maybe I had a bill lined up that I was going to pay off next month, but because I have this extra $1,500, let me pay this off early. I just started to, I was real aggressive with the way I approached, paying off these bills. Mm-hmm. So every month I'm also checking my credit score. And I'm checking my credit score and I'm writing down the new credit score. So if I look at this book right now and I can tell you exactly where my credit score, what it kind of did, I'm looking at it here. So, on January 1st, the beginning of the new year, I had jumped from a 468 to a 546. Okay. March 1st. So I'm looking at it pretty much like every 60 days, right? Because you have to give things a chance for the credit bureaus a chance to, report it. So March 1st, now I'm up to a 624. So I'm almost at a 200 point jump in a matter of 3-4 months. And I'm like, okay, this is working. So it's motivating me to keep going. Every time I want to say, you know what? I'm tired of sitting in the house. Like, I want to go out, or, I want to take the kids on a trip. I want to do this for the weekend. I'm like, Latrice, no, it's going to pay off. Just, stick to the script. And I look at my credit score and I'm like, this is working. I have to keep going. So, April 1st, my credit score was, 655, right? Mm-hmm. So let me tell you what prompted me to make that video that you watched on Facebook. Now, April 1st, my credit score was a 655. The end of April, I paid off, my credit card that had the highest interest rate. My credit score jumped to 700. And I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you. I have never had a 700 credit score in my life. I didn't have anybody to teach me about credit or the importance of it. Growing up, my mom didn't even realize the importance of it because it was never taught to her. So now we're looking at a generational domino effect of financial illiteracy. To be quite honest with you, if you came from the struggle, your day-to-day focus was making ends meet and getting to the next paycheck. It wasn't let me look into the future and things like that. And it wasn't until I got a little bit older did I realize how important it was. And also I didn't realize how expensive bad credit is. It is cheaper to pay your bills on time than it is to have bad credit. Mm-hmm. Because now you get higher interest rates. You go to get a car and, you can, if you have somebody with a good credit score and then you take me with a bad credit score, we can buy the same exact car and the difference in our car notes could be $200 or $300.
Absolutely.
We have the same car. So it's not that I'm buying anything different than you. I just have bad credit and that is expensive. That's expensive to have. So, so I'm going through this process over the 6 months. And then when I hit that 700 credit score and now I see that when I trusted the process, it worked. I felt like I needed to share it with the world because although my way of living is unconventional, it's not anything new. It's not anything that hasn't been done before. It's not revolutionary. It's not like I came up with some some great idea that nobody's ever done before. But what I will say, and just to be, keep it 100, everybody, when I say everybody, I'm talking about other ethnicities, cultures. Everybody does it but us. I have friends and I have family members, through marriage and stuff from other races, other backgrounds. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, okay, they have all these things. How the heck did they do it? Well, you know what? They practice group economics, whether it be that they live together, whether it be that they pull all their money together and start one business. And then, the other members are able to branch off from there. Everybody works together to make these things happen on a larger scale. I'm not talking about individually, but on a larger scale, but us. And that cycle has to break. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to jump in, we'll coin the Facebook group because we focus on eradicating, economic oppression using togetherness cooperatively. I wanted to jump in that group and show them like, hey, look, I know you guys may have never thought about this before, but it works. And let me show you that it works because I did it myself. So, and I'm a completely transparent person. I'm not going to come out and put these airs on and, make myself look like, struggle hasn't happened to me, or we haven't had periods of time where, bills were due and we didn't know how we were going to pay them. Absolutely. But at some point I realized that I needed to take my power back, not only for me, but I needed to take my power back for my kids because we wanted to create generational wealth. So I wanted to share that. And, so many people, inbox me or email me, text me and was like, oh my God, I love your idea. How did you guys do that? Can you teach me? And I'm like, of course I can teach you, but I'm really not telling you anything you don't already know. Mm-hmm. You already know what to do. You just need to be disciplined, trust the process, and make it happen. I can walk you through how to do this all day long. Not a problem. Trust the process. And I'm telling you, it will happen. Now, when it comes to group economics, now that's something that's a little bit unconventional, but it works. What sense does it make for you to be living on one side of town, your brother to be living on the other side of town, your mom to be living around the corner, and everybody's paying, let's say, $1,500 for rent, right? And, so you're all paying for the same thing, and we didn't want to do that anymore. We didn't, we wanted to create not only a financial environment. So we had that financial village. We also wanted to create that support village for one another. So, I had one lady say to me, Latrice, I love your idea, but I can't live with my family members. I said, sis, you ain't got to live with your family members. I said, that may not work for you. I said, do you have a best friend? Do you have a coworker you're really, really close to? She said, yeah, me and my coworker, we're friends out. We've become almost best friends. We're together all day at work. Our kids play together, whatever. I said, so you guys are both two single mothers, right? She said, yeah. I said, so I'm not saying you have to live together for the rest of your lives. I said, but let's say you did it for 1 year. You guys signed a 1-year lease and you guys pooled together. Okay. So now you guys are helping each other out financially because you guys are sharing these bills. Now your kid is playing with her kid, which they did all the time anyway. I said, now say for instance, she has to go in early one morning, but daycare isn't open yet, or the schools, kids can't be dropped off. Okay. That's where you come in and you say, don't worry about it, sis. I'll drop the kids off. Or you have to work late. She says, don't worry about it. I'll pick them up. Or, you create this whole entire support system with whoever it is that you're close to. If you're not close to your family, you have friends, you have somebody where you guys can pull together not only financial resources, but just that support and be there for one another. And now we've talked about creating an entire village from a social standpoint, from a financial standpoint, so on and so forth. So I just want everybody to be encouraged that although this may seem unorthodox, it's nothing new. We have to change our mind frames in order to be able to pull this off in a way that we've never been able to do it before. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I have me and my 5 kids. My My brother and his girlfriend, they have one kid, but he's a baby. He's only 9 months. So they're not used to having all the kids around. It wasn't an easy adjustment. I'm pretty sure my brother doesn't even really like kids like that. So my kids work on his nerves. But we had to look at the greater goal. It was an adjustment for all of us, but it was worth it. Okay. So fast forward to me making that video, my credit score was at a 700. You know, I'm elated because I've never seen this before. I feel like I just won the lottery. And, a week later, something else that I had paid off hit my credit score. So I believe right now I'm sitting at a 725.
Wow.
And that was 2 weeks ago. So this is where it gets good. So we've seen the credit score. We've seen the money aspect of it. Everything else is flourishing. So next, my brother and I were talking like, hey, we want to open a business. We want to go into business together. And I told him, I said, you know what? Honestly, we're not ready. We're not ready. I said, well, in order for me personally, in order for me to feel comfortable opening a business, because businesses are risky, I feel like we need to secure some assets first. We need to have the assets. So that way, if we need a small business loan or whatever the case may be, we have the assets and the collateral to make it happen. I'm not trying to go broke trying to open up a business that may or may not succeed and put myself right back into the same vulnerable situation I was in before.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you how this happened. So I'm window shopping, and this is the power. This is the power of credit. And I tell people all the time, cash is king, but credit is power. Okay. When you have good credit, things start opening up to you that you never thought would have existed before. Opportunities, whatever, they just start falling out of nowhere. So this is literally last week. Okay. Last week I was on this time exactly last week, Saturday morning. I'm window shopping on Zillow, which is a realty website. I'm window shopping. I do this from time to time because I'm trying to, mentally, I want to, use that as motivation. Like, this is my goal. I want to look at these houses and say, one day I'm going to be able to afford this. So This is what I was doing last Saturday. I'm up in the morning, I'm drinking my coffee, and I'm daydreaming, window shopping online about these houses. So I come across this house, and it's gorgeous. I mean, if you saw the house, you would say, a millionaire lives here, right? So I'm looking at this house online, and I'm like, oh my God, this house is so beautiful. So I send the link, and my husband and I, we do this to each other all the time. Hey, look at this house. Look at this house. Wouldn't this be great? Couldn't you imagine the kids doing this? So I sent him the link. And I told you I always try to speak positivity into my life and into my situation. So I sent him this link, and I said, this is our home. And he texted me back, and he said, babe, that's beautiful. I said, isn't it? Couldn't you see the kids in the pool in the backyard? He was like, oh man, one day we gonna get there, babe. I was like, one day is gonna be soon. So that was kind of the end of that conversation. So I sent the same message to my brother, and I said, this is our home. I said, step one of us owning the business is securing the assets. So he was like, man, that house is nice. I said, you know what? I think I'm gonna go look at it today. I don't really have anything going on this Saturday. I think I'm gonna go look at it. I just want to see, and put my hands, physically go look at the house. So I went to the house 2:00 last Saturday. That was step one. So then Sunday, I said, well, you know what? My credit score is at 725. I know we make the money. Let me just apply and see what happens. By Sunday evening, I had a pre-approval on this home. Okay. This house estimated value is 700 and I think like 48,000. So I got pre-approved for this home. We did. Now, mind you, this is a pre-approval with not only myself, my husband, and my brother. So now we're taking this group economics to a whole different level. We're buying a home together. Mm-hmm. Me, my husband, and my sibling, we're buying a home together. So boom, Sunday, pre-approval. Why? Because credit is power. So now we have a pre-approval. Monday, we put our offer in on the house. Our offer was accepted Monday night. This past Tuesday, we went into escrow already. 72 hours from the time I daydreamed about this home to the time we enter escrow. That's major. That has nothing to do with money and credit alone. I manifested that into my life. I spoke it into existence. I claimed it. God made it happen. Period, point blank. But it was able to all come into play and come into line because we worked together to make this happen. Okay. So now, we're in the escrow process and, right now we're in the closing process. We're going to close on this house, I believe June 8th. Okay. A $700,000 home. We closed on June 8th, and 6 months ago I had a 468 credit score and I had $25,000 worth of debt. You know, and that may seem like it's unattainable or that you can't do it, but it was just that simple. It was just me simply identifying that I was ready to break the cycle. My brother, you know, identifying that he wanted to break the cycle. My husband identified that he wanted to break the cycle. Us coming up with a plan and acting on it and being aggressive with it, being disciplined and really, having that common goal. Whether it's your brother, whether it's your mom, your sister, a coworker, your best friend, it's possible.
And you know, the thing that gets me so excited about that is, so you said you manifested this into your life on, you know, in the last 3 or 4 days, but that's not true. You actually did that, you know, 6 months ago. You've been speaking
right.
this into existence over the last 6 months. And what, you know, that's the other thing about Snowball, right? That's another way to look at this Snowball. You've been disciplined and building up to something larger over a period of time. And then you're at a point where the snowball effect of the power that you have built for yourselves puts you in a position where you can say, I like that. I really want that. I'm going to make that mine. And everybody involved wants to make that happen for you because they see your credit score and they see your financial discipline and they see as a bank, this is a low risk to us. We're going to get our money back. These people pay money, right? Banks make money off of giving loans. There's not a bank in this world who doesn't want to give a loan to people because that's how they make their money. What they don't want to do is give a loan to somebody that they think they're not going to get their money back plus. So everything that you spoke into your life 6 months ago and then the diligence with which you made it real put you in a situation where now people want to give you that leverage. They say, oh, absolutely. This is what you want to do with your life. Let me help you get there. And that's beautiful. I absolutely love it. And, so the other thing, we keep using this word, you know, generational wealth, right? But I'm just sitting here thinking about how powerful a change in lifestyle this is for your kids.
Absolutely.
In 6 months, you put your family in a position where you're going to have a very important asset. And this is just the beginning. You know, as you guys continue to, you know, pay that house down and then off and then continue to do the investing that you're doing, you're creating this environment around your kids where all that they will know coming up is going to be how to capture and grow wealth and then hand that down to their kids. So where you had to break a cycle, now you're creating a whole new cycle for your family. And it moves a lot faster than people think it can when you do the things that you just said. I want you to talk to me a little bit more about some of the other aspects of this, because you talked to me about cars. And I know we're going backwards, but this is another thing that a lot of people in the audience probably deal with is car payments and seeing the shiny new thing and the other thing. But you talked to me about you and your brother and cars and how you also used that in order to help make better decisions. So if you want to take a couple of minutes and just kind of talk through that situation too for people.
Absolutely. Okay. So this was me personally. I'm very, modest when it comes to, cars and, just materialistic things in general. However, my brother on the other end is a very flashy guy. He likes, his mind frame is, I work hard, I deserve nice things. Okay. So I told him, I said, what's nice things, bro? He said, well, if I want to go out and I want to get a 7 Series Benz, I work hard. I deserve that. I said, okay. I said, I get it, but you're hustling backwards. Because what you mean I'm hustling backwards? I said, okay, so you have the 7 Series Benz, right? Between your car note and your insurance, you're paying like $800-900. I said, so that nice thing is depreciating every time you turn the key. Matter of fact, you don't even have to turn the key. Every time a new day comes, that car is getting a little bit older and it's depreciating. I said, so yes, we deserve nice things, but in moderation, one, and two, we have to prioritize. What sense does it make to have a brand new vehicle sitting in the driveway of a home that you're renting? It makes absolutely no sense. Once you get the house, then everything else will fall in line. But, we got to get our priorities straight. That car is, cars come and go. And, so what he did was he said, you know what, sis, you're right. He was leasing the vehicle. So when his lease was up, he turned it in. So that created almost another $1,000 worth of income for him without working, without doing anything for it. He literally just chose to take a step back in his spending for a moment for, to pay off his bills or whatever. So I told him, I said, look, bro, I have 2 cars. I got my minivan that, my mom van that I, transport my kids in, but then I also have a little Mini Cooper. That's my commuter vehicle. Mm-hmm. So I told him, I said, look, let's do this. You use my Mini Cooper. You drive back and forth to work in that. You don't have to pay me anything. Just get the oil changes when it needs to be done or whatever. Put gas in it. I got you. So now that created $1,000 income for him. I didn't ask him for a dime. I didn't ask him to pay anything on it. I didn't even ask him to pay the insurance, honestly. So while we're helping each other, with the group economics, I'm also helping him in other aspects because now I want to see him win. I want to see him have that extra money in his pocket. And if I have something available in my resources, by all means, you are welcome to it, because if you win, I win. That's the way I have to look at the situation with my loved ones around me, and I said this in a video and I want to bring this point home again, because this goes back to the mentality that we have to change and the mentality that it takes to be successful in any kind of group economics, whether it be on a personal level or whether it be business wise or whatever. I feel, and I know it to be true, that we have to get out of the mind frame of self. What good does it make for me to have the home, to have the car and everything else, and my brother is on the other side of town struggling? Okay? It makes no sense for one of us to come up and the other one is struggling, because one or two things are going to happen. Either he's going to continue to struggle, or I'm going to have to help him out of that situation, which now is costing me money. So instead of lifting him up when he needs it, I'm going to lift him up all the time so he never needs it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So it's more of a proactive approach to empowering one another versus waiting for something to happen and then saying, okay, I can help you out. Because guess what? If your car breaks down or you need something, and I haven't budgeted for that for the month, now you've put me in a financial bind. What if you can't pay me back? Now we fell out over some money or whatever. But if I help you get to where I'm at, and I lift you up to where I'm at, or we lift each other up, then now I don't have to help you do that, because guess what? You have the same thing I have, and we avoided this situation because we've been working together the entire time. I have 5 siblings, and me having this home and everything like that means nothing if my 5 siblings are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
It means absolutely nothing. I'll give you a prime example. One of my brothers called me day before yesterday, and he's falling on hard times. And he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to do. You're going to come to California with me and your other brother, and you're going to move into this home with us because now we have a house large enough to do so. You're going to move into this home with us. Our other sibling is going to give you a job working with him. Now you're going to make the money that you need to take care of your kids. You don't have to pay me any rent. I need you to get yourself together. But because me and the other sibling took the time to create this economic safe haven, now he's able to come right and fall into line. So although he may be struggling now, guess what he's doing while he's living in this home with us? He's watching the way me and our other brother operate. He's watching how we move. He's able to create himself a safety net for him and his children. So now we've rubbed off on him.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, he sees exactly what it took to make all this happen. And my brother's not struggling. He can fall right into this house with us and live with us and never skip a beat. I am my brother's keeper, and God has allowed me to have the safety net to catch any of them when they fall. And I think that's amazing.
It is. It's beautiful. And, I'm glad that you just told that story because it is not unique at all among human beings. It only sounds strange and weird and unique among Black Americans. How familiar are you with Northern California?
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar. I live in Southern California, but I'm familiar with it.
Have you ever heard of a place called Yuba City, California?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so I lived in California for like 4 years, and I was working at Beale Air Force Base, which is up there north of Sacramento. And while I was there, I connected with a group of folks who run a basketball AAU program in Yuba City, and also coach for the high school team. So I was coaching with those guys. I literally met family in Yuba City. They embraced me and my son, and it was probably the most connected with people I have ever felt, and that's including being back at home in Arkansas. But Yuba City has a very, very high both Indian and Southwest Asian community, a high population. And in Yuba City, all of the power, all of the money, all of the everything really lives within those hands. It's surrounded by this orchards just for miles and miles and miles around. And that's all owned by people in the community. They own all of that land. And it's also a place where it's like the largest Sikh celebration and parade in the United States is in Yuba City every year. It's a massive community. Trust me, there's a point. I'll get to it. But being up in Yuba City, what I recognized, what I learned up there is that if you want to interact in Yuba City, if you want to be accepted in Yuba City, if you want to get anything done in Yuba City, then you had better learn a little bit about Indian and Southwest Asian culture. And you'd better learn to respect it and to follow and fall in line with kind of their normal behaviors and expectations and the way that they, raise their kids and the way they interact with each other, because that's who is in power. That's who has the money. That's who owns all of the things. And in this environment in Yuba City, I saw, and this would happen over and over again, you would have families who would immigrate over from India or Southwest Asia, or somewhere in that area of the world, and they would immigrate and they would come to Yuba City. And they would get there, and then people would sponsor them into these homes. Here is a house for you and your family. Hey, here is a job for you and your family. Hey, you've saved up some money to start your business? All right, here's your business. We're going to let the whole community know you got a business now, and everybody's going to come support it. And eventually you're going to move out of this home that we sponsored you into because you're going to go buy your own. And guess who's moving into that home?
Another family. Absolutely.
Another family. And you end up with this situation where I am not exaggerating here. We had kids that were playing ball in Yuba City, and I mean, we had a kid who was averaging 20 or 30 points a game. I mean, he was an incredible ball player. He could have gone and played, if not D1, he would have been a really high level D2 player, but he was incredible. Actually, he probably would have been a D1 player. Do you know that this kid ended up going to Yuba College and staying at home? And it wasn't because of grades, and it wasn't because he didn't have the talent. It was because he didn't want to leave. People don't leave because it's like, why am I going to leave the place where I fit in? The culture is one that it aligns with my community, and the people in power look like me. They think like me. They're here to take care of me, and we have all this wealth right here. Why would I want to leave that? I mean, people just grow up. And they may leave for a little bit, but they come back and they want to be where everything fits with what they grew up with, where their culture is in control. And it was living out there and interacting with folks in Yuba City and being taken in literally as family with these group of guys who coach, and all the players that we coach. They still reach out to me regularly, and seeing how powerful group, not just economics, but just being able to have a community where your culture is in control of that community. Even if it's your one little spot of the world, the effects of that on people are huge. It was one of the things that kind of led me to starting this podcast, is knowing the power that comes from feeling safe in your own community. And I think what you're building, bringing it all full circle, what you're building and what you're teaching people, it is the beginning of creating that. Because we have to get into a community mindset like what you have before we can do what you're doing at that larger level. And I am extremely impressed by it. I'm extremely encouraged by it. But I love hearing just how powerful an effect this is having for you and your family. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, no problem. One other thing I wanted to point out is, and I'll let this part out. Now, mind you, the whole time I'm going through this process, I'm also investing. I'm investing in stocks. I'm investing in cryptocurrency, and I have short-term goals for these investments, and I have long-term goals. And in the crypto world, you have coins that you hold, coins that you may flip. So what I did was, while I'm investing, I said, okay, I'm investing for two purposes. One, these are long-term holds for generational wealth purposes, and then I also have coins that I'm looking to flip rather quickly. So let me tell you what's so powerful about all this when it comes to the investing. This house is expensive. It's California. So, when the lender reached out to me and said, okay, you're approved for this house, we didn't have to put any money down, but we did have expenses, like earnest fee, earnest money and closing costs or whatever. So the closing costs came up to about $7,000, which is high for, but it's normal for California.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have $7,000. I had just spent all my money paying off my bills to even be able to have the credit score to buy the house. I'm like, oh my God, like another $7,000? I just put up this money for the earnest fees or whatever. So I thought about it. I said, you know what? I completely forgot that I have short-term cryptocurrency coins that I have readily available to me to be able to come up with this money. So the first thing I did is I went and looked at my portfolio, and I'm looking, okay, these are the long-term coins that I've purchased. I'm not going to trade these in or sell them for, 5 years, Bitcoin, stuff like that. But then I have these other small altcoins that I have where the purpose of those was, to flip them. You know what I did? I cashed those coins out, and I literally covered the closing cost using investment profits from cryptocurrency. So we didn't have to come out of our pocket for a dime outside of the earnest money, but I'm going to get that back at the end. So not only did, we get this house, but the investments that I was making the entire time, and mind you, I just started investing in cryptocurrency, around Christmas, right after Christmas. So pretty much January 1st, that paycheck. So it's May, and I had already made enough money to just sell the coins, cash them out, and be able to pay our closing costs. So I'm investing the whole entire time, to make this happen. But to go back to your point about Yuba City, imagine if we all adapted this type of principle where whether it's living together, opening a business together, we really focus on group economics. You know, my goal is to create, our own little utopia the same way that they have. You know, everybody talks about changing the game or reform and all these kind of things. It's not happening. I mean, let's just be real. It's not happening. I'm not interested in changing the game that wasn't designed for us in the first place. What I'm interested in is creating our own game where we're the players and we call the shots. And the same way in Yuba City, where not only are the homeowners, the business owners, and then rightfully so, now your elected officials are all people from that town, we can do the same thing. You know, I'm not interested in coming up and then moving away. You know, why would I spend all this money and do all my hard effort to save up money and move away from people in an area that look just like me, think just like me, to take my money across town, another city, another state, and play their game?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested in doing that. I'm going to take that same money and put it right back into my community. Because guess what? Schools are funded by tax dollars. Well, tax dollars for the schools come from owning property, from property taxes. So that's why you may see a school on the other side of town in the suburbs where they have nice uniforms, books, a nice school. Because guess what? People out there are paying taxes, you know, and things like that. I want to put my tax dollars back into the school and back into kids that are not only mine, that look like mine, you know. And I was talking to the lender yesterday, and I said, oh man, this process is so easy. He said, feel free to, you know, reach out to me again or refer anybody. So I just asked him, I said, you know, my brother and I, my husband, we're looking at getting a rental property, maybe a set of duplexes. I said, do you think that's something that we can do if we have this home that we're currently buying? He said, give it 6 months and call me back. And absolutely, let that house hit your credit, you know, positively for 6 months. Come back to me. And yes, we will finance you for a set of duplexes. So the plan on those duplexes is twofold. One of those duplexes will belong to his son. That's his. So when he turns 18, he can use it as rental property, income. He can live in it. He can sell. He can do whatever he wants with it. It's his. And then the other one belongs to my children. Okay. But what the plan is to do exactly what you just said that the citizens of Yuba City are doing. One of those duplexes, we're going to rent out, and that's going to cover the mortgage. The other one, we are going to pick a family member that can live in that house for rent free for 1 year to let them get on their feet. So now they can purchase a home, rinse and repeat. You have 1 year as a family member to come and live in our home, get your stuff together, save that. Don't take that rent money and blow it. Take that rent money, get your credit right, get you enough money for a down payment. So now you can step off like a boss, and now you have your house. Then the next family member comes in and we do the same thing. So now guess what happened to our entire family off of one investment property?
Everybody is in a better position.
That's the goal. The goal for this has never been about self. The goal for this has never been just about me and my brother. But we do realize that talking about something is one thing. Preaching about it is something different. Living it is the best way for things to hit home, for others to want to fall in line. We went to all of our siblings and a few cousins with this idea. Nobody wanted to jump on board. Nobody did. They're all like, oh no, I don't know, I can't do that. But guess what? Now they're seeing the moves that we're making. They come to our house and they're like, oh my God, this house is huge. So now I have my little cousin saying, man, we should do this. We should all get a house together. So guess what's going to happen when they come to this housewarming party and they see this huge home that looks like you'd have to win the lottery to afford? Now they're going to want to jump in line. So we are not only preaching it, we are living by example so that our youth, our siblings and our relatives that are coming up under us are now seeing that, you know what? This don't have to be so. We can make a way. We can do this. They did it. We can do it too. So we're living by example, and we're giving the youth that are coming up underneath us, the generation coming up now, these 90s and these 2000 babies, we're giving them a positive example, and we're showing them that, yep, I look just like you. We come from the same neighborhood as you. We come from the same family, the same struggle, but it's possible. All you have to do is pull together, work together for a common goal, and everybody eats. That's what we tell everybody all the time. Everybody eats. You do not leave anybody behind, not in this family, not any of your loved ones. Everybody eats, and that's how we live our life.
I love it. I love it. That is awesome. Well, so Latrice, you have given us so much great information and things that I hope folks listening have taken into account and will hopefully act on. Did you have something else you wanted to say real quick before we go into our last few questions?
I just want everybody to know that what I am doing, my husband, what my brother is doing is not some type of success story to where, we're that unicorn family that made it out the hood or anything like that. What we're doing is absolutely obtainable to every single listener that's listening. We're not doing anything, we're not doing anything that anybody else can do, except for the fact that we change the way we think, we change the way we look at family, and we change the way we look at our community. And I just want everybody to stay encouraged, stick to the script, to trust the process, and we can do this together, one step at a time.
So the last things that I have, I've got just, I think, 3 more questions that I always use to close out the show. So the first question is, and you may have talked about this already, but maybe this will bring us another little extra piece of knowledge coming out. What is the biggest challenge that you have ever faced, and how did you overcome it?
The biggest challenge I think I've ever faced was unexpectedly losing my job and not having that backup plan to where I had, 3 months of savings to fall back on or anything like that. And and at the time I wasn't married, so I was a single parent. I had 3 boys, and I just had to, I'm trying to figure out how to make it work. And honestly, how I came out of that situation was group economics, just on a different level. It wasn't necessarily that proactive type of looking out for your brother, your sister, your family member type of mentality that I have now, but more so, hey, look, this has happened. I need help. And my mother quickly came to my aid, and she's like, hey, you and those kids come home. My brother quickly came to my aid and said, okay, here's the money you need to get through till you get a job. And we pulled together. And I think that's why I am so big on proactive empowerment within the family unit, because I've seen how things happen, and then now everybody's scattering to try to help one another, when it's just so much cheaper just to help each other on a day-to-day basis, because the help is minimal when you're doing it, when it's part of your routine. But it is very hard to scramble to try to help one another, and now you're faced with a dilemma. Do I and put myself in a financial bind? What if he never pays me back? You know how people, one thing that, you know, I've seen so many friends and family fall out over is, hey, can I borrow this money and I pay you back at income tax time? I think we all know somebody who has done that, been a victim of that. You can watch Judge Judy, and that's one of the main things she tells you, right? So, the biggest lesson I've learned from that is if I help my brothers and sisters, and if we help each other on a day-to-day basis and we pull each other up, then, to where we are, then it's less likely for you to have these situations where, you know, you get that phone call like I got last week where it's, hey sis, I've fallen on hard times. I don't know what to do, because I was proactive and in my steps. I've created a safe haven for him already and he didn't even know it.
Nice. Absolutely. I love it. All right. So the next question is, if you're willing to provide further information and further help to folks in the community, where are the places that people can find you? Whether it's, Facebook groups or your Facebook profile or email or whatever you're willing to share with the community, because I know after this episode, people are going to have questions. They're going to want to talk to the woman who made it all happen. So, where can people get in touch with you? Where can they find you?
Okay. So, I've been getting overwhelming, positive responses from me just sharing my story. And one thing I noticed was a lot of it was from women, and single parents who, just trying to make it work. And so what I'm really considering doing is, reaching out and starting maybe a Facebook empowerment group or, where we can talk about these kind of things. But in the meantime, my major platform that I am on where I am a moderator on is the Facebook group called Wakoinda, WACOINDA, Wakoinda, kind of like Wakanda, but a coin because it's a financial group and it started out about cryptocurrency. So that's where the name kind of came from. But, you can find me in the Facebook group, Wakoinda, and you can also watch the video that prompted this podcast interview. Not only am I in that group, but you have 25,000 other people who think just like me. So not only, will I be able to help you in there, you have, it's a group for us, by us, and we even have our own cryptocurrency coin. So that we trade and barter amongst each other, in that group for services and goods. You can even, in Lexington, Kentucky, you can take our coin, our cryptocurrency coin, and you can go get a haircut in Lexington, Kentucky with this coin. So you can find me in there and, you can, like I said, you can find 25,000 other people who think and look just like you and I. And, you have everybody in there from financial advisors to real estate agents to software developers. It's a really eclectic group. And then you have everyday people who are just there to soak up the knowledge. Everybody in that group is extremely helpful. We teach each other. We empower each other. We invest together. You even have a Black woman in the group by the name of Vanessa Braxton who lives from Brooklyn, New York. She has a Black version of Starbucks and she also owns a distillery and makes a vodka. There's everybody in that group. So if you want to look me up, join the Facebook group Wakoinda. I'm an admin in there. Once you get in the group, you can tag me, you can ask any questions, you can inbox me, and I'll help you any way that I can.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right. So, Latrice, that brings us to our final question. It is the same question I always end the Buy Black podcast episodes with. And you have given us so much advice during this episode, but I have to ask, what is your number one piece of advice for this Buy Black podcast community as a whole?
My advice would be to be the change that you want to see. Keep in mind that the change starts in the mind. And when we start thinking in togetherness and we start thinking in the form of empowerment and that we are no greater than, the next, that everything else will come easy. Just, you have to know that whether it be on a local level, an even smaller level as far as family, you may not be able to go out there and advocate in the streets or protest or whatever, but what you can do is focus on the things that matter the most and watch it grow. And that's starting with your family. Family first, group economics, community togetherness. And if you can keep those things in mind mentally, then everything else will just start to fall in line and come naturally. You have to change the way you think, and you have to be committed to the change, not only of yourself, but everyone around you.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. I'm going to do something a little bit different than I normally do at the end of the episode. What I'm going to ask real quick, Latrice, if you can just kind of sit there with me and close your eyes, and I'm going to just read a list of things real quick, and then we're going to close out the episode. Is that good?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I'm broke on purpose. Stick to the script. Bad credit is expensive. I feel like I just won the lottery. Cash is king, but credit is power. Be the change that you want to see. Everybody eats. Those are your words that you blessed us with today, Latrice, and this has been a really emotional episode for me. I thank you so much for sharing your story, being so candid with us, with our community, and just being somebody who's out there, like you said, not just talking the talk, not just preaching behind a microphone, but living this thing and creating a better world and community for us, for your family, and showing more people every single day how they can make it happen. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, that is it, folks. This is episode 39 of Buy Black Podcast in the books, and we will catch y'all next week. People, what did I tell you? Latrice Coleman, THE Truth. If you are out there and you were as moved by her testimony as I was, and you want to know more, definitely reach out to her. Join some of these Facebook groups. The Wakoinda group, I love it. It is a huge, massive group, and there are some really smart and really active people in that group going about the process of building this thing. I just want to throw out to you guys out there, obviously, all the plugs, right? Download the apps, all those wonderful things. But what I really want to say to you right now is I want to thank you. I want to thank you all for rolling with me through this process of building this show up. We started it almost a year ago now. It was last July. And, it's been going strong the whole time. We haven't had too much of a problem getting guests coming on. It was a lot of hustle on my part up front. But now you guys are really stepping up. You're stepping up. You're bringing me new people to interview. You're connecting me with folks, and you're listening out there every single week. I see with the download numbers, they're just going up, up, and up. And we have some even more exciting interviews coming up for you guys in the next several weeks because of people that you have reached out and recommended to me, or some of you who are out there listening and you've reached out to me and said, hey, I got something I want to put in front of the audience. And it's humbling. And it is encouraging every single week to have that email or the phone blowing up with you guys just wanting to bring more knowledge in front of the community. It is all love. So thank you so much for being out there. I look forward to even more feedback from you, even more connections through you, and just continuing to build this community into our 2018, 2019, 2020, and then just seeing what we can do with this audience, what we can do out in the real world with those of us connecting through this platform. Thank you so much for making it what it is so far. I cannot imagine what it's going to be a year, 2, 3 years from now. But whatever it is, it's all because of you being out there, listening to the show, connecting with us, connecting with these folks who come in and give us this great information. It's all you. And I just can't wait. I can't wait to see it all come to fruition. But in the meantime, we are just going to continue plugging away, making this thing happen. I will talk to you guys in the next episode number 40 of Buy Black, Build the New Black Wall Street. We'll see you then.